Good day, everyone. We are the researchers from Infanta campus, and today we will be presenting our IMRAD paper format. I am Miss Mystica, and I am with Miss Ibelte and Miss Garcia. And let me start this presentation by stating our study about Assessment on Pedagogical Competence, Readiness of Infanta campus pre-service teachers. Teachers are known to have one of the firmest jobs in this world. Continuous learning to educate learners with different personalities is not easy. We all know that teachers are now in a diverse world and made it now very challenging to every educators. The responsibilities that were on the top of the head of the teachers seem huge. They have to teach learners well for them to be able to get the knowledge and great opportunities in their days to come. That is why it is important that a teacher is a competent. Some of the competencies that teachers are needed to portray are job-related knowledge, communication skills, dependability, professionalism, and interpersonal skills. Teacher's competency is defined as the knowledge, skills, and attitudes that are necessary to be able to perform the teaching profession effectively and efficiently. This sense of competence that teachers should have influences motivation, success, and creation of competent professionals in the future. To make the thought brief, teachers must be competent, which means they must know the subject matter they were teaching and master the curriculum content as well. The qualities stated in the previous statements that teachers should possess are all salient in becoming competent. The competence of teachers is essential, especially in the current. That is why the demand for competent teacher is being expected because they are known as the most powerful influence on student success. That is why it is also believed that teachers' competencies are also for pre-service teachers. In connection with all the competencies that teachers should possess are also for pre-service teachers or the students that are currently taking up the course of teaching. A climacteric part of being a pre-service teacher is when they have to take the training or what so-called practice teaching is. This is a requirement for every pre-service teachers that will help them in becoming effective teachers someday. The teaching practice program allows every student to apply the competencies they have and enhance them. It is at a stage that student teachers are trained and exposed to the real classroom teaching for them to become prepared and qualified teachers in the country. In the Philippine context, all teacher education curriculum in all higher education institutions included practicum teaching as one of the requirements for the degrees of Bachelor of Secondary Education, BSED, Bachelor of Elementary Education, BEd, and some degrees in the Bachelor of Arts or the BA programs, and that was according to ULA 2016. Pangasinan State University is one of the college schools that ensures pre-service teachers are assessed carefully in their practice teaching. One of the missions of this university is to create globally competent individuals, and through conducting practice teaching, the mission will be possible. Thus, the researchers conducted the study to assess the pedagogical competence readiness of pre-service teachers of Pangasinan State University, Infanta campus. It serves as an assessment for the student to check themselves upon their readiness before getting into the field of practice teaching. The competencies to be assessed includes instructional designing, instructional delivery, knowledge competence, teacher's personality.
Methodology. The purpose of the study conducted is to know the pedagogical competence preparedness of Infanta campus pre-service teachers in terms of instructional designing, instructional delivery, knowledge competence, and teacher's personality. As a result, we use descriptive statistical analysis as our research design. This research design aids us in compiling a summary of the information that we had gathered. It has summarized the information provided by the respondents in our study. Due to the pandemic, we had gathered the data needed through online survey questionnaire with the use of Google Form. We had sent a set of questionnaire to the respondents, which is not allowed face-to-face transaction. We had conducted the study in a state university in Infanta, Pangasinan, one of the satellite campuses of Pangasinan State University. The fourth-year pre-service teachers of enrolled with Bachelor of Elementary Education and Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Social Studies are the respondents of the study. For the research instrument we use in the study, we constructed our own research instrument in the form of survey questionnaire. This approach allowed greater opportunity in the collection of responses. Therefore, authentic statistic is collected from the respondents. The questionnaire is being validated by research experts to assure that the created questions are valid for the study conducted.
For the treatment of data to determine the respondent's pedagogical competence readiness across instructional designing, instructional delivery, knowledge competence, and teacher's personality, the responses were analyzed and managed using weighted mean in evaluating respondents' pedagogical competence readiness. A scale of interpretation to quantify the respondent's answer was set as. And now for the results and discussion.
The table shows the answer of the respondents on the competencies under instructional designing. The respondents in terms of making well-planned instruction and or lessons show that they were somewhat competent because the mean on this competency is 3.14. In including ICT as the respondents' teaching and learning resources, it shows that they were almost competent because 3.45 mean. When it came to the competency of finding the outcomes, thus aligned with their learning competencies, the result of the mean from the responses was 3.31, indicating that they were somewhat competent when this competency. With the curriculum drafting competency, the mean from the responses of respondents is 3.4. This mean is interpreted as somewhat competent. On the other hand, the mean of the competency in process of designing and planning assessment thus is 3.22, which also belongs to somewhat competent. Lastly, the respondent's competency is identifying instructional materials the learners needed in learning resulted in a mean of 3.39, that is interpreted as somewhat competent.
On the table 2.2, the competencies under it resulted and interpreted as somewhat competent except for the third competency stating the use of positive ICT that was interpreted to almost competent because of 3.47 mean. On the table 2.3, showing respondents' response about knowledge competence shows that they were more competent with incorporating knowledge of educational goals, purposes, and value. With the table 2.4, the interpretation shows that the respondents are almost competent in all competencies included in the teacher's personality. This is a great sign that the respondents could execute good communication and love for their fellow workers and students. For the table 2.5, pedagogical competence readiness of the respondents in the instructional designing, instructional delivery, knowledge competence, and teacher's personality. You can see the weighted mean of these four competencies included in the study. The respondents of the Pangasinan State University Infanta campus are somewhat competent in instructional design. This means that the student can somehow develop the lesson plan, use learning resources including ICT, or can align objectives with learning competencies. But they still need to enhance their knowledge in instructional designing. Likewise, the respondents are fairly knowledgeable on designing and planning assessment tasks and to measure what the learners knew and can do, and creating instructional materials that would suit the learning process and the needs of the learners. However, the results show that they still need to enhance their competence. The result is somehow expected because the respondents had already taken up their professional education subjects in their past years. The overall weighted mean of pedagogical competence readiness of the respondents shows that they are somewhat competent or shows somewhat readiness. This means that the respondent still needs enhancement with the different pedagogical competencies included and presented in the study. Thank you for listening.